podcast listeners, welcome. We're happy to be here. I'm back from my 2-week hiatus, even though I only took a 1-week vacation, but the Eagles were on bye, so I couldn't be in that other one because, what am I going to talk about? Not the Eagles. So anyway, I'm back now. Josh here, Billy, of course. But since you're hearing my voice once again, that means Joe's not here. So it's just the two of us, and we're going to come through. I already know we're going to disagree on some things, which is good because me and Joe were talking off camera the other day and just talking about how we agree too much when it's the two of us. And I was talking about me and Billy. I was like, I don't understand why we agree, but I already know there's something that we disagree on. And I know it's going to get heated here. And hopefully we're talking to that team early, which I know we will be because they, I believe, are the second team on tap. So let's get into the game previews and right. They should be. Oh, maybe you know what I'm talking about.
No,
I love that.
They're not the second team. But yeah, no, honestly, why and you and Joe not being on the same pods the same weeks is just getting bizarre. Like it's almost like you two are playing this behind the scenes of like, are you going to be there this week? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to be here this week. So, and then if you could be there next week, then I can. Feels like y'all are coordinating this shit.
I actually didn't even know he wasn't coming until I called him earlier today to tell him some news, and I didn't even think about it until he's like, I was like, okay, so I guess I'll just talk to you later. And he's like, no, man, I'm not gonna be there. And he's like, Scott, put it in the chat. And I was like, yeah, man, but like the chat goes wild sometimes, and I just can't keep up, especially with baby life.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, well, Joe is in the chat. That's awesome. And yes, Joe, it does seem like you all playing your shit. I'm glad. Wow, that's actually an X tweet too. You're watching on Twitter, which is even better. But anyway, it's good to have everyone in here. I hope you have survived the IR bug. I'm sure it's affected you in some way or one of your loved ones in some way. And, it's just unfortunate, Josh. I know we say this every year, but damn it, these injuries are just piling up. It's getting unfortunate. Thankfully, I think we're actually going to start getting some of these guys back because they've been on IR for so long at this point that we might actually be getting players back faster than we're losing them at some point in the season.
So I don't know how, and I don't want to jinx myself at all, and I'll knock on every piece of wood that I have in this house. But the IR bugs have been fine for me, and I've actually benefited weirdly from it this year because I had, especially in Dynasty, having all these rookie running backs. Tracy having his day, Bucky pretty much in way too many leagues. Like honestly, if Bucky ever fails, I think all my leagues will fail. Not that I'm banking on him, but it seems like there's a weird amount of stock in him. But no, honestly, I've seemingly missed the big ones. Like I had AJ and Devontae, obviously missed a game or two or three, but I haven't had any of the big ones. So weirdly, I didn't roster anyone who's been on long-term IR at this moment, other than Tua, which
fair enough.
We saw that one coming. So
I have a team that has Puka, Cooper Kupp, and who did we just lose? Oh, Nico, and bad times in that league. That's a league that you thought going into the season, how am I going to lose? And then I'm already like, man, should I rebuild?
Well, there's a chance that you had literally every starter be injured. I'm sure there's teams out there that had that, and it's just wild to me that that is even the thing. It's been a very injury heavy year, and honestly, I don't want to see it in general. Is my thing is because nobody wants to see any of these stars go down and watch them play, except for the messed up people out there in the world. I did just want to say, what up, Rue? I see your comment there. Glad to see you're back here for watching us. And I guess glad to see you're back on the one I'm back. Or maybe you've been here the whole time and I was the one missing. We don't know.
He's been here. All right. Well, thankfully, everybody out there that luckily most of these are 4-week injuries. So you are actually going to get them again. At least we haven't had, I don't think, many season-ending injuries, which, we'll just take a week. All right. Let's get into the game previews. This is just an unfortunate one to start with, but probably one of the worst situational games of all time. Thursday Night Football is Broncos versus the Saints. I'll start with the Saints because there ain't much shit going on. So Rashid Shaheed is probably out for the season. They say he could come back at some point, but
I don't think so. I don't think so because
they said it's a while because he just went under surgery today. So it's at least a 6 to 8 week injury. So
really?
Probably not come. Yeah, and a lot of people
meniscuses are usually a lot easier to recover. I say easier, but
they said a long while, so it's at least 6 to 8 weeks, and could potentially just be the season depending on how the recovery goes. Chris Olave's out, which is just awesome. Taysom Hill also out. That's just another one to add to the bag. So who to start? I think we should start there, Josh. I actually kind of liked what Spencer Rattler was doing last week. However, he's going against the Broncos. So like everything that I liked about what he was doing last week, I think might be undone by the fact that the Broncos do not let people score. I think whatever the over-under is for this game points-wise, you might as well just take the under because I don't think the score is going to be very high for this game.
I think the good news is here for Rattler, and I mean this. Yes, it's one player, but Surtain is out, who is the best and the kind of the villain on that in the defensive back squad. So like, yes, while they still have good players, their biggest it's like playing the Pittsburgh Steelers without T.J. Watt, and you know what I mean. Maybe not quite as dramatic, but it will affect it a little bit. I just don't know who the number one guy is that's going to be going against their number two corner at this point.
Well, we will get to it in 1 second. I think the number one player, that wide receiver you're going to have to pick up for this week, is Bub Means.
It's a great name.
It's an incredible name. I remember him at Pittsburgh last season. I didn't ever imagine ever saying his name on this podcast as a person to start, but I actually kind of liked what he was doing with Rattler. They seemed to have a really good connection last week. He had the most targets on the team other than Kamara. Obviously, Alvin Kamara is a start. Rattler, if you are desperate as hell, okay, I understand it. I would probably
I just think you leave him on the bench one more week.
There's somebody out there that's in a better situation than them. So, Juwan Johnson, Bub Means, Alvin Kamara, I'm probably going to leave it there, to be honest.
I honestly think you're already stretching it a little too far with Juwan Johnson. I'd like to see it, but like let's see who Rattler's guy is, which it's hard to say without two people. But man, okay, so it is the A.T. Perry revenge game, although I'm pretty sure he's just on the practice squad of the Broncos and not going to actually get much revenge. But like, do you think I don't know, maybe you should have kept a healthy receiver considering the rest of your core was?
It's hard to imagine that you lose both Olave and
100%.
Taysom Hill. It's like what do you
it's tough, dude. It's tough. As Rue said, just skip it. Let's just go over to the Broncos side. I don't really want to talk about this side much either. Bo Nix actually not putting together a pretty good campaign. I don't think you're really starting him anywhere except for in Superflex. Javonte actually was having a few good weeks, and I think you're sitting him for a while because last week against the Chargers, he did nothing. Although the Chargers do have a good run D, it's still like you would have liked to see a little bit more than 6 carries. And then the real starts here are the Broncos defense because they're, for one, the best defense in the league right now, at least fantasy-wise. And not to mention there's no one, as we talked about on the Saints, that is really going to be scary to you. And then I think it's not sure how to pronounce it, but Devon Belly and then Sutton are both playable. I don't think Franklin's quite there yet. It is cool to see him get a touchdown and see him to get involved, but hasn't really had the workload and the snaps that we'd like to see yet. So honestly, the three of them together, and I thought Belly might just be a flash in the pan after that one game where he was the dump off guy where Bo Nix was trying to figure everything out and just kind of switched dump off guys for 3 weeks. But he's back. Apparently so. He is the guy on the team. I mean, so it's a little dump offy type plays, but those add up. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Jaime or Jamie, don't know. Spell it either way. Another monster Zach Allen game. Yes. He's defensive end for the Broncos. I see a couple of Spencer Rattler sacks coming in this game because this defense is pretty darn good. So
yeah, honestly, every defensive player that's ever scored a point, you're pretty much putting in this game because I feel like this is going to be a defensive battle. It's going to be gritty. I'm not saying everyone, let's be real, but Bonito for sure is touching Rattler at some point, and there's a lot of good players out there as well that you can snag in. So
for sure. I have the Broncos winning this game.
I wish there was 3 people here so I could just say I don't care, but it's the Broncos as well.
Okay, awesome. All right, we're headed across the pond for the second of a back-to-back for Jacksonville, going against the Patriots. Rue says on Twitter real quick, does 2-5 does DA get fired if there is a God? I don't know. I don't think he would get fired after this. I think at the very least you could say, I don't have my quarterback, I don't have my wide receiver 1 or 2, I don't have my tight end. Like, I feel like at the very least you could be like, what did you want me to do at this point?
Yeah, like what were you supposed to do to make it better?
Right. Like, plus the way they started out, although I think me and you both thought that was fraudulent, what they were doing at the beginning of the season. I mean, you could at least see there's a possibility of the team being
Of
good.
the continuation of those good games for sure. There's a chance,
Right.
but I don't think anyone gets fired here. Not from
The Eagles broke them. I mean, we could say that, right?
They did. They did.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I mean,
sorry,
right?
Rue.
They haven't
Honestly, I
won a
really
game
didn't.
since. I don't
I
think.
didn't think that was a thing, but it is. So
Who would have thought? Not me. Anyway, back to London. We're talking New England Patriots versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. What controversial thing do you think we were going to talk about in this game?
Oh, this is the game. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we had a whole conversation during the football games last Sunday, and my man's just spouting off nonsense about Etienne's done. He's benched. He's whatever. Man got injured, and then your boy Tank Bigsby, who's taken over the role in the biggest quotations you can find. Man got 6 carries for what, 20 yards, maybe 27 carries for 24.
It was a little game scripty, but okay, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that game.
The Bears were blowing them out. Yes, Mac Jones came into this game.
But I mean, it was 21-10 in the third quarter. That's not an ending game. That's an 11-point game. There's nothing wrong with this game. It was the fact that Bigsby's always going to be the D-Jack of running backs, right? Like he's really good. He's going to hit one of those big plays. And honestly, I honestly thought he was a complete bust after last year, but it is good to see him actually doing something. But he's one of those guys that like he needs the other guy to thrive off of and go get all those gritty yards so he can break that big one. And it looked like our boy Dearness Johnson was the better back, honestly. So I think it's going to be a weird split between those two in this game. I'm just saying, I'll just go ahead and take the Jaguars at this point. I understand why you want to start Bigsby, and if you need to, of course, do it. I just want to say, like, lower your expectations. Don't think you're getting the 200 yards. Think that, oh, well, Etienne got injured. It's him now. All of a sudden, it could very easily be Dearness Johnson game. They're going to play the hot hand, whoever gets hotter faster. And if Bigsby doesn't hit one big quick, it might be a Dearness Johnson game. So I just wanted to say, like, just because we've had all these running back fill-ins, it's not just an immediate. It's our guy. So. Other than that, I'm really not starting anyone. Evan Ingram, great to see him coming back. You obviously start him just because you waited this long, I imagine, or you picked him up out of free agency. Good for you. Brian Thomas did have a down week last week, but I think that's a fluke. Gabe Davis is not catching 2 touchdowns every game, so please don't even think about it. And Christian Kirk is also, a flex-worthy spot. You're not super excited about starting Kirk, but Lawrence isn't even near consideration, in my opinion, for anyone other than Superflex. So,
yeah, I've actually been hearing a lot of football podcasts where they were like, at what point do we see what Mac Jones has? And that is a dark place to be if you're a Jaguars fan. But same time, like, it's hard to trust Trevor Lawrence, man. It really is. I'm not going to lie.
The thing is, he's not bad. He's just not good. Like,
he's not going to win you a game, and that's the problem. Like, he's not going to win you a football game. And that's what sucks. But as far as if I have Christian Kirk in a couple of leagues, redraft leagues, I'm benching him.
He's been on my bench this whole year, honestly. I'm just saying, if
you're never going to know what week he's going to pop off, because BTJ, I think, is the 1, and then Evan Ingram, I think, is the 2 when he's healthy. And I think that kind of came a little bit to fruition. It was a little fluky
the thing about Kirk is you're going to get – it's a solid floor guy, right? You're getting 8 to 12. Maybe he catches the touchdown. Maybe you get 16. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're like, cool, man, that worked out well. But you're not always. I agree. It's not. You're not getting 30-point games from Kirk for a while.
Definitely not, which is sad, but it is what it is. All right, on to the Patriots. We have the Drake May experience. Started off, he didn't look too bad. I was pretty against Houston. I was kind of like, well, okay, not bad. He's not going to win, but he's in there. So I think Drake May is definitely startable this week. Jaguars they suck. Drake May top 5 QB in fantasy week coming. Why not? I don't see it being that big of a deal. Running back position is kind of a joke, but again, we're playing the Jaguars. So if Ramondre's back, I would say he's good to go. And then Antonio Gibson, I think, flex consideration for the very least. As far as the wide receivers go, only one I'm trusting is Demario Douglas. I know Joe is a Kayshon Boutte guy, and sure, I can't trust it. I cannot trust his booty just quite yet. But Hunter Henry's good to go. So Demario Douglas, Hunter Henry, Drake May, Ramondre if he plays, and then Antonio Gibson in a flex spot if you have some buys.
Well, I say if Stevenson's out, Gibson can be a start. I'm just very sketchy flex consideration.
Yeah, for sure. It's just the rest of these guys on this team, wide receiver wise, there's
it's sad, honestly, they have a lot of like B-list receivers that are actually like can be good receivers, but it only really seems to be shaking out to Demario Douglas at this point as a consistent basis, at least.
We wondered who was going to have his trust, and we found who it was pretty quickly. I still think Polk, better days ahead, but it is what it is right now.
Yeah, that was a flashy offseason name that everybody was talking about.
Yeah. Well, and again, he might by the end of the season be that guy, but I don't know. I still think they need a 1 on this team, but that's a whole other thing for another day. I do think the Patriots are going to win this game, and I think Peterson's going to be left in a pub in London.
And to be fair, if Peterson does lose this game, he's getting fired, but I don't think he does. I think the Jags pull this one out. I think this ends up being a good game.
He needs it. He needs it. Desperately needs it.
They should not be 1-5 right now. It doesn't feel like it was even close to 1-5 record the way they played. They've had some pretty good weeks, but it hasn't been great finishes. But no, I think the Jags pull this one out. I think it's a gritty game, but I think it's close. But I think the Jags edge it.
Okay. All right. Coming back to the States, we're going with the Jets and the Patriots. Not the Jets and the Patriots. I am on the wrong game. Actually, just talked about the Patriots. Wrong game, wrong week. Of course, my phone's crashing out on me right now. Titans versus the Bills is what we're talking about. That is the game we're going to be discussing. And we'll just start with the Bills because they made a flashy trade. Amari Cooper is now on the Bills, traded over from Cleveland. Kind of exactly what they need. Josh Allen does not have a 1. I mean,
it'll be talked about in the offseason.
It'll be a while before Keon Coleman is ready to be the 1 on this football team. And I think Amari Cooper immediately steps in and is going to be good right away. So for the Bills, you're starting Josh Allen. Obviously, we don't need to discuss that one. I do think James Cook's going to be back. He was trending towards playing. I'm pretty sure they said he's playing this weekend, so he'll be good to go. I didn't hate what I saw from Ray Davis, but I think with James Cook being out there, I think you can't really start him. But I keep him on the bench. I think you keep him on the bench.
Do not cut him just yet.
Exactly. Don't toss him away, but you can't start him. Kincaid is probably your only other guy on this team other than Cooper if he's playing. I don't think they've said
he's probably going to play yet. But if he does, I'm down to roll him out there, right? Like you can't not play Amari Cooper on a new team with Josh Allen. He's just going to be running deep routes for Allen the whole time.
Yeah, especially because it's the Titans. So you're not. But I don't know. I just don't trust the rest of these guys to put up the numbers. I think anybody could get numbers on this team, and you're going to have the one person that has 0 points. Just saying. Yeah,
you're like, oh, it's Shakir's week. It isn't Shakir's week. Whatever you choose, it isn't that week.
Kincaid, Cook, Allen, that's it.
Yeah, so on the other side of the ball, Will Levis is just apparently terrible. Remember when I told you in the offseason, and you know what I was saying, I don't have any fireball. I'm just going to go ahead. This is Crown Apple. I don't know if we made a fireball about it, but I feel like, oh, man, this guy's sealed.
The problem is I think we said that he was going to get benched by like week 8 or week 9, so I think that you might still be good because I don't think he's going to be benched. But yeah, he definitely said he might have a Brady-esque season.
All right. Well, I did not say Brady-esque. Let's calm down. You can roll the tape back, and I know I didn't say that. I said, why not? The stars around him. They're not. He's bad. Okay. Anyway, so Will Levis is cut. Like, if you had him on your team still, just go ahead and cut him. You can probably go ahead and do that.
Can I say something about Will Levis, though? He is must-watch television because you just never know what he's going to do. Every time he throws the ball up, you're just like, oh, Will. Oh, no, buddy. Will.
Not to mention he took out the sideline guy and then started cheering afterwards, so I'm pretty sure. So interesting guy.
He is the best, one of the best players to watch. It's never good. It's not like a good thing. But he's got one play a game where you're just like, oh, Will. Oh, no, buddy.
Yeah. Calvin Ridley had 8 targets with 0 catches. So, yeah.
But as Joe pointed out, those targets were very fishy because most of them were these balls that were not even like you couldn't even have determined that was supposed to be going to Ridley. Like,
pick a number that he still didn't get a target that was completed.
Right.
I'm not saying it's Ridley's fault by any means. We already talked about the quarterback. Anyway, I think the only person receiving wise that you can even touch is DeAndre Hopkins, and I do think you can play DeAndre Hopkins safely because the man threw for 95 yards and 54 of them went to DeAndre Hopkins, mainly because you can't miss a guy that's 6'4". But I mean, I guess you can because he's missed a lot of people all year. So anyway, Tony Pollard 100% is playable, and that is really the only person you're like set and forget type guy. I don't really love the matchup with the Bills, down negative game script, but honestly, still could get enough in the passing game to where he at least breaks even to where you should be. And I don't think you can sit Pollard. I don't think you probably afford it with the injuries that have been happening this year. No. If you can't afford it, please feel free to skip it. I understand, but man's been getting 20 points a game, so it's looking pretty good too. But yeah, other than that, it's literally Hopkins, it's Pollard, and then I just don't even think about this team for too hard.
Nope. Bills win.
Yeah, 100%.
And I will not be watching much of that game during the mid.
Is it at 12 o'clock?
It is.
I'll be watching it, but hopefully it's on the far screen or something.
I was about to say, you at the Buffalo Wild Wings just gonna have to put that one on the.
I'm gonna get there early and figure out how to put those TVs together. You get the shit together.
That's probably for the best. All right, now the actual game of probably the game of the week, but it's the game of definitely of the 12 o'clock hour. Texans Packers. Look, I like both of these teams right now. I do think Green Bay their wins have been a little fraudulent, so I can't really say that I have loved them just yet. They need to beat a team over 500, and this is probably their best opportunity. But it is what it is. As far as the Texans go, you're starting C.J. Stroud. He's back. He looks comfortable, and that's nice. Joe Mixon, like a man among boys out there, he came back and immediately was just pushing everybody around, which is exciting. Stephon Diggs has taken over the one role. I do think I still think Tank Dell might be the actual one, but as far as last game, it kind of looked more like Stephon Diggs. He caught almost all of his targets. And then Dalton Schultz, in the absence of Nico Collins, I think is kind of taking on that 3 role, and I think he's good enough to play too. So Mixon, CJ Stroud, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, and Dalton Schultz. You can't not see what Dameon Pierce did last week with that 54-yard touchdown, but the game was kind of out of hand. It was the Patriots, so it's at least a name to watch in case Mixon was to miss any time or anything, but you definitely can't trust that that's going to happen.
Thank you for putting some respect on his name, because honestly, Dameon Pierce, I know it was great to see the man still that was what he was doing his rookie year, and honestly, he really got screwed with that hamstring injury the entire time Mixon was out, and then he came back. Yeah, it was a game. Mixon came back. On the other side of the ball, Jordan Love setting records over here for Green Bay. Looks to be the next Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Like, it's just a combination, and it might just keep going for the next 10 years. But anyway, one thing to say is Jordan Love will win 1 Super Bowl, and that's all he'll get, so it's fine. But at the time being, Jordan Love is, like, in my opinion, QB 1 or 2. I mean, pick one, because the man, especially in a game like this where, it could actually be 34-35, Jordan Love could be forced to throw even more. Really, they were throwing unnecessarily and just getting a touchdown every play, which was amazing. But Jordan Love obviously started. Jacobs, although not really great in the run game, this one still gets involved in the pass game, which gives them, in that 10, 11 yard. I think that's what we're getting from Jacobs this year. I think we're getting consistent football. He's the new, I don't want to say this in any disrespectful way. I love Jacobs and I love Najee Harris, but he's the new Najee Harris this year. And Najee Harris is doing the same thing. 10 points, 11 points, 15 points. Maybe he gets a touchdown. I'd like to see more touchdowns for him, but when Jordan Love's throwing for 50-yard touchdowns every play, hard to get on. Watson, literally the 44-yard touchdown was wide open, broken coverage. I just want to state it. I personally don't think you play him, but if you want to, feel free, because I think everyone.
You hate Christian Watson. We get it.
I do 100%. But I believe every wide receiver can play in this game except for Wicks. I don't know what happened to him. He had a chance to break out, didn't, and then wasn't even involved and didn't even get in on the fun on this one.
I think he was hurt last week, but.
Did he get hurt? Yeah, okay, gotcha. That's fair. Anyway, then Dubs looking great. I mean, 2 touchdowns. Once again, these are all guys who can get a touchdown at any moment. I should have told you. I wish I would have been on the podcast, but Tucker Kraft, that's going to be very fluky. There is still 2 tight ends on this team, and there's 4 wide receivers. So, and then of course Jaden Reed, wide receiver 1 overall in the year right now, I believe. No, he's not.
He's like number 4, but still, he's a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. Like that's
100%. Yeah, no, sorry. But yeah, all 3 of those guys should be playing. Dubs, Watson, Jaden Reed, and then if you need to throw Tucker Kraft in there, feel free. But like, I just don't. I think that was a fill-in for the lack and the void of Christian Watson and Dubs being out more so than this is going to be a consistent thing. I think but the good thing is anyone can get a touchdown, especially in this game. So
that's fair. I think Houston wins. I think they're the better team.
I do too. I think the defense actually wins this game. It's late pick or something. I mean, I know McKinney can go out there and get picks, but Texans has a beast.
I really think Houston's going to make a run at getting to the Super Bowl. I definitely think AFC Championship at least.
Be quiet.
I'm supposed to be jinxing them.
I know. I don't.
Or is that what you don't want me to jinx them?
I like the Texans. I'd like to see them be the AFC Championship team. Honestly.
Okay, fair enough. Well, my bad. So Houston 6-2. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, on to actually, maybe this is the game of the weekend or the 12 o'clock window. I don't know. Detroit versus Minnesota. Minnesota's coming off a bye, so I think they're going to be coming into this game really, really hot. Sam Darnold continues to be playable as long as he's healthy. He had a little bit of an injury scare, but he's back. Aaron Jones, it doesn't look like he's going to play, and he might be out for a while. They're kind of being very secretive about it, which I like.
They tipped their hand by trading for Akers for no.
The Akers thing was a little bit of a hand tip for sure, but yeah, that was a little weird. So in his absence, Ty Chandler, I think, will be the guy for them. So I think Ty Chandler's good to go. Receiving wise, it's the usual suspects. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison are both good and playable. Jalen Naylor, not so much. I think the fun is over there, but it is what it is. And I think that's all you got. Hawkinson should be back soon. They haven't activated him yet.
Points right now in fantasy.
He is projected points, but I have not heard a peep about him actually being activated for this week. So
yeah, they do have to activate him first. So
I think next week you might be getting him back, but this week no.
I just want to go ahead and say that this game is going to, like you say, this is going to be a good game, and it should be, and it probably will be. Like Jefferson could break for a big one or something, and it could happen. I think Ty Chandler is a sit, personally. I think I understand why you think it might be a start in general, like not you, just anyone who has him on his team. They see Aaron Jones goes out, they're like, oh, the next one coming out. The Lions are stout against the run. And, I mean, yes, Hutchinson is out. But
the Vikings are too. Like, they're both really, really good defenses.
100% just getting to it, the Vikings are imposters. They are going to lose this game by a lot. Detroit just straight embarrassed the Cowboys, and I just love everything about that. The Vikings are very much similar to the Cowboys, except they somehow know how to win games. But anyway, Jared Goff, good to go. Montgomery, Gibbs, you already know. And then, of course, Laporta, I know it was one catch, but like you have to keep him in there. There's always going to be opportunity for him. He's always going to be at least relatively involved. And once again, you drafted him as tight end 1. So therefore you cannot sit him unless you somehow came into Hawkinson, who's playing in this game. But I also don't think you would return an injury guy. JMO, once again, same kind of concept, especially in a game like this, where it's supposed to be a gritty, long, shootout type game. You got to put Jameson in. If they're playing the Patriots, maybe you want to skip that one. But Jameson, always a good flex option. Honestly, I love throwing guys like that on my flex just in general. Like, let's just throw them in there and see what happens. So, yeah, that's about it.
That's fair. I bet this game is going to end up being a very low-scoring game, and we're sitting here talking about like this big explosive thing, and then it ends up just being 2017 or something like.
No, I was thinking 28 Lions to like 13 Minnesota. Like, I just think it's going to be like, I can't say they're
you are so underrating the Minnesota Vikings. Their defense is legit good. Like, they're legitimately really good.
Yeah, their defense is good, but they're not stopping the Lions.
We'll see. I mean, this is a week we find that out. But
they have one against some good teams, I will say that, but all of them have their own flaws. So I don't see a flaw in the Lions other than the fact that they lost Hutchinson at the moment. So
that's fair. Well, we'll see. Hopefully it's a good game. That's all I want is for it to be a good game. To be fair.
Who do you say wins?
I think it's gonna be the Vikings. They're really good.
Let's do a fireball bet on that one. I just want to go ahead and get that out there for the boys.
That's easy. Honestly, wouldn't shock me if either team win. To be honest, I just think the Vikings are slightly better team. All right, on to a game that's near and dear to your heart. Eagles Giants. Josh, how are you feeling about the Eagles this week?
So I just saw, and I knew that the Eagles have lost to the Giants historically for like no reason over and over and over again. Jalen Hurts has only won in MetLife in MetLife Field or whatever stadium, 1 of 4 times. I think maybe 5 times if you count the Jets. And yeah, they lost that game too. So hasn't won in 2 years at MetLife. I'm hoping to see a lot more from him. The good news is for fantasy, let's just go into that aspect and then we'll get into my actual thoughts. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, all good to go. And one good thing is if you are tight end needy, Grant Calcaterra replaced Goddard perfectly and honestly scored more points than I assumed Goddard would have scored in the game that AJ and Devontae come back in. So I think he can be a streaming option for tight end, especially if you're on a bye situation or if you just, hate your tight end. Say you're not a big fan of Kyle Pitts or whoever you have on your lineup and you're just like, not feeling it. Grant Calcaterra can go get you 10 points, maybe more, depending on this game. Good news is Giants defense is terrible. Bad news is the Eagles team is so wishy-washy right now. So there's a lot of hate going towards the Eagles and Sirianni, which I think is warranted at the very least, but I think is getting a little bit blown out of hand by the media. The whole Jalen Sirianni feud, which there's literally been no documented situations about it other than just off comments and whatnot. So I just want to say, just calm down. Let's see how we play as a full team, like Eagles fans alike and other NFL fans. Everybody was telling me the Eagles are washed, they're done, blah, blah. And I'm just like, they literally they had 3 games without AJ Brown. They had 1 game without Devontae Smith. Like everyone's like, well, Jalen still needs to do it, even without one of them or 2 of them. And it's like, and throw to who? Like he threw 170 yards to Goddard because he had nobody else. Like, just saying. All right, just everybody needs to calm down. Anyway, that's the birds for you. I think this
the only thing I take issue with that. The Giants defense is good. They're having a really good season so far. So terrible seems like a stretch.
Terrible might be a little rough. Not great.
It is. They held Jaden Daniels to no touchdowns. They kicked 7 field goals. So I mean, they're not terrible. This past Sunday, all they did was drag the Bengals down into the mud. They're not. The team isn't great.
No. You're right. I'm not giving the Giants credit enough. I don't like them. So
you hate the Giants, which I understand.
I don't like the Giants, so I guess that's probably what my brain's going at. But yeah, no, David was a great signing for him. Safety, the defensive backs are great. Brian Burns has really made a huge impact while Kayvon's out. So it'll be a good game. I think division games are always gritty and weirdly somehow the Eagles always seem to lose the Giants. So I don't love that, but
for sure. All right. Well, the Giants start set's pretty simple. Let's not overthink it. Neighbors is going to be back, it looks like. So you start Neighbors. He's, going to be in a tough matchup, but he's been proving that he doesn't really matter. He seems matchup proof a little bit, but it is his first season, first 4 games. And Tyrone Tracy, I think with his work in the run and pass game, I think he's good to go. I have seen Singletary is projected points, so it looks like he might be back this week, but I don't know how you keep Tyrone Tracy out of the lineup in favor of Singletary because he has looked really good. But it's something to monitor, see if they're talking about, by Friday, if we're talking about a split workload or not. But I do think Tyrone Tracy's good enough to get out there.
I think you're onto something, man. 250 yards in 3 games is amazing for a rookie coming in, taking over the workload. And honestly, they gave it to the first touch to Eric Gray, and he looked terrible. So
maybe at least the pass game work is going to go through Tracy, which in most formats would mean that he's startable. And then Wan'Dale Robinson, I think this is a good week for him as well because Neighbors is going to be drawing so much attention. Wan'Dale might actually get some underneath stuff.
Only plays in your lineup if Neighbors plays, in my opinion. Because if Wan'Dale's the one, he did fine last week. It wasn't.
He still had 11 targets. It's just Daniel Jones sucks.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess really Wan'Dale is one of the most consistent players in fantasy right now, so it's nice to see.
Yeah,
and honestly,
it's crazy, but thankfully they figured it out. One of those guys they drafted.
Neighbors also might not play in this. I don't know. I don't think he's cleared concussion protocols yet.
He hasn't cleared it yet, but he's trending towards playing.
Okay, good. That's good. I honestly just
trending towards. of course not. Who would? Because then you all have to worry about Slayton.
Yeah, fair enough. But no, I was just really saying, like, apparently this concussion was like really bad. So that's what they were talking about. It was like one of the worst concussions, not quite to a level, but out there. So there's a chance that he misses. So plan accordingly.
All right. Giants win.
100%.
Just helping you out, brother, by saying that. All right. Continuing on with the 12 o'clock window, we have the Battle of the Birds, Seahawks versus the Falcons.
Wait, the Eagles are playing again?
These are just two different birds. The Dirty Birds versus the Seahawks, the Seabirds. I actually kind of liked what the Falcons have been doing. It's not like they've been facing great defenses, so it is a little like more than I think they're going to be in every game. But Seattle has a fraudulent defense. They have a lot of injuries right now, so I don't think it's going to stop this week. Kirk is a good start. I've liked him quite a bit. Bijan, we have officially taken Bijan off of Fraud Watch, which we put him on last week. However, yeah, he was on Fraud Watch because he's been not great this season. However, guess who looked better last week? Josh, guess who looked better? Tyler Algier. Algier looked better last week, and both Carolina had terrible defense, so it is what it is. And Bijan got 2 touchdowns, whereas Algier only got 1. It just seems like a two-headed monster, honestly. Like, it just is the way it is. I don't think you're ever going to trust Bijan as the number 1 in this offense because I don't think that there's a discernible difference between him and Algier. And they are actually – most teams, they would be like, oh, well, Bijan's starting no matter what. He's getting 30 carries. But this team is like, you know what? I think we can split both guys and get a lot of work out of both. So I think that's what you're going to be facing. It's a good run team, so you're good either way. So Algier's good to start. Kirk's good to start. Bijan's good to start. Drake London, even though Josh thinks he's a fraud, is good to start this week. And Kyle Pitts, it's hard to define what he is out there because his targets, you're like, man, what is the hell's going on? And then he gets like 1 50-yard catch where he's wide open. It's like the Christian Watson thing. And you're just like, okay, well, fine, I guess. I got my points, but why aren't we using him more? It doesn't make any sense. And then Darnold had a bad week, but it's okay. The game was a blowout. They didn't need him.
Yeah. Honestly, I completely agree with you. London looking great. Pitts, don't understand why he doesn't have like 2 or 3 more targets each game, but here we are.
I don't understand it. I really don't. I just whatever. It's just something we'll never understand. Unsolved mysteries.
Yeah. So Ken Walker, good to go. Charbonnet, as long as Walker's starting, is on the bench, but keep him on your team if you have the space, because you never know if Walker goes out or if Charbonnet just gets the hot hand eventually. I mean, there's a chance that these two do coexist at some point, but at the moment it's Ken Walker's team. He starts on your team. Geno Smith, very wishy-washy, has good games at times, but honestly, it's really about the pass catchers here. Lockett still loves them. Honestly, it still happens. It's still part of this game plan, even though there's down weeks. Lockett has that boomer bust mentality all around. And JSN, I would love to see more, I don't want to say deeper passes, but like longer passes. Like give it to him in space. But 9 targets last week, and he pretty much should be a flex option, if not a wide receiver 2 on your team. And then DK Metcalf, you cannot sit. Like, I don't care what happens. The man's getting 11 targets a game. He had 75-yard touchdown call back on him. Like it should have had a huge game. It wasn't it. So I just want to make sure nobody's off of DK Metcalf at the moment. JSN, I love it. If you don't want to start him, I completely understand.
Yeah.
And I guess Noah Fant is a relevant tight end to talk about, but
we're getting there. It still seems like the 1 week you put him out there, it's going to be like AJ Barner or something. But at the same time, it does look like Fant is getting.
I actually like AJ Barner. Go pick him up in Dynasty if you have a chance.
Yeah. Hopefully you already have him. But yeah, a good pickup. I think the Seahawks win.
Yeah, this has Seahawks written all over it. If they let the Saints score that many points against them, I just have to imagine.
Yeah. I mean, they're not favored because Falcons are at home, but I don't know. I just feel like Seahawks could win this one. Okay, continuing on to the garbage that is the rest of the games in the 12 o'clock hour. Bengals, Browns. Josh, which one of these teams? Well, I guess Bengals, there's a lot to talk about. Browns,
No,
I don't know.
no. I want to talk about the Browns. It's really
Okay, talk
exciting
about the
stuff.
Browns because
And
you're
we
happy
got
with
some. Yeah, no, we have some really exciting stuff. They lost their star wide receiver, so there's an open, vacated receiver spot. Who is it? And you know what? It's none other than our boy, who we thought Deshaun Watson hated, Mr. David Njoku. I would trade for him in some leagues. I mean, don't break the bank, man. It's tight end and it's, the Browns. So I don't think you're really thinking that hard about it. But I actually do like David Njoku in this game and in games in the future. Bengals defense is bad, so Watson could actually have a good game. I do not recommend starting him ever. I started him against the Eagles last week as like a hedge my bets kind of thing, like just in case he has like a good week. He didn't. So don't do it. It's not worth it. I just want to let you know that L hurts. Running back game, Pierre Strong had a lot of carries in that game. Deontay Foreman should have been the guy. I think Jerome Ford's injured now. So honestly, running back on this team isn't it. Jerry Jeudy, I can't even say to start. You'd think that would be the next man up, but it doesn't seem like it is. And then Elijah Moore, Jalen Darden. I mean, bro, I don't know who to tell you. Like other than David Njoku, I don't think there's a single start in this game. You could start a running back if you were super.
Well, what about Nick Chubb? He's supposedly coming back.
Oh, right. Nick Chubb is coming back. Well, then there you go. You're starting Nick Chubb because they're back to the Browns offense that they're going to do and be. Sorry, I didn't really think he was official. Is it official?
To say that he's going to get full work is a little dubious, though. It might be like a pitch count situation where he's snap count.
Honestly, the Bengals defense can give up some run yards. So I mean, I'm down to put him in.
Yeah, I think if you have Nick Chubb, you've been holding on to him this whole time. It's going to be a little dicey to.
You don't get a better matchup. I mean, the Bengals.
Yeah, you really don't.
And you got to do something on this team. So, I mean, David Njoku, Chubb, that's it. Sorry, it wasn't actually that exciting.
I was about to say, you made that sound really exciting, but not.
All right.
On to the Bengals, who are just a bad football team. I mean, I'm sorry. It's hard for me to say.
Time out. I disagree. Okay. They're a bad defense. Bengals have a terrible.
I don't like the offense either. I like the names, but offensively, like look what just happened last week against the Giants. I know the Giants have a sneaky good defense, but they didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter. Like they're not great. I mean, or they didn't score. Okay, Joe Burrow had a 52-yard rush at the beginning of the game, and then they didn't score again until late in the football game because they're not a good football team. I'm sorry. Their offense is okay. It's just not great. I mean, you can start T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. That's fine. I still think Chase Brown's the better running back over Zach Moss, but if you have Zach Moss, I understand thinking you could start him, but I wouldn't. I would just start Chase Brown, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and that's it. I'm not starting Joe Burrow. Hell no.
I'm starting Joe Burrow. What are you talking about? Man has been putting up points other than this last game. Browns defense
last game he had 55-yard rush, but like,
no, man. Joe Burrow is a plug and play. You can't sit Joe Burrow.
Yeah, somebody else
right now. Okay. Jamar Chase can get a 70-yard touchdown at any point and completely boost Joe Burrow into relevant.
Except the Giants. That's the problem. You can't do it against the Giants.
He did fine, though. He's still like 20 points.
I still think the Bengals win this game because the Browns are legit the worst team in football, but
I think it's one of the only teams that the Bengals can actually win against.
100%. Because, again, not a good football team, but it is what it is.
Defense has got to do something.
Trust me. Next week, your Eagles play the Bengals. I think that's going to be a blowout for the Eagles.
Well, speaking of, we talked about Drake May earlier. He got an MRI after practice today, so that's cool.
Oh, nice. We love that. All right, last game in the 12 o'clock window, which I mean, God, like, please just don't let this happen to us. Dolphins, Colts. I'll be quick with the Colts because Anthony Richardson's back inexplicably, and so all the fantasy value of this team is just vanished. It looks like I think we're going to be doing the Trey Sermon thing again this week, but I don't like Trey Sermon.
Don't put him in. Goodson took over, I'm pretty sure.
He did, but I don't even know how you can trust Goodson.
No, you're not trusting any running back. That's what the point is here. Like if
who do you trust on offense either? Like I don't trust Anthony Richardson. No, I don't trust Michael Pittman with Anthony Richardson out there. I think you might just have to bite it and not start any of these people.
Josh Downs probably has the best chance to just go catch a touchdown at any point and also get enough workload to like be relevant. I think Josh Downs is a flex play.
Josh Downs it is.
Yeah, that would be your guy if you choose one. On the other side of the ball, I will say I did like to see Huntley and Hill mesh a little bit better. Missed a couple shots here and there, but I think with a week off, week to practice, hopefully we're getting Tua back. I just want to go ahead and caveat all of this because I don't believe in Tyler Huntley, but much better than the alternative. You can't sit Tyreek Hill. I just want to go ahead and put that. You can sit Jalen Waddle. I understand why you wouldn't want to. You drafted him as your wide receiver 1 or 2. I would sit Jalen Waddle if I were you. Tyreek Hill is a must start at any given moment. You got to downgrade him to more of a wide receiver 2 flex spot, numbers wise. But there is always that chance where Huntley and him do get on the same page, and they really weren't far off. I just want to say. And then is A-Chain? Is he healthy?
Yep.
We good?
Practice fully from the concussion.
Well, you're gonna have to play him. I don't love it. But I do love Jalen Wright. I think he just looks great. He looks like what Devin A-Chain was last year. So you play A-Chain, you play Hill, and that's it. Johnny Smith, I guess, is relevant enough. He's been kind of the safety blanket for Huntley and really even Tua. So
yeah, this game's disgusting. I don't even.
It is gross. This is one of those games where you're like, oh, Tyreek Hill caught a touchdown. That's cool. I had him playing. Like I didn't watch it, but it did happen.
I feel like these teams are just going to be trying not to lose the whole game, and that's just not fun football.
It's going to look a lot like the Dolphins-Patriots game a couple weeks ago, 15-10.
I do think the Colts win the game, weirdly, but it's just because the Dolphins' defense is so decimated. I don't know.
I just have this weird feeling that Hill gets loose right before Tua comes back and just gets hot. Like, if Tua comes back next week.
I hope that happens, especially for all the people that took Tyreek Hill high this year. Like, I hope that's what
it worked last year, but this year not so much.
Now, by the way, with Tua, who even knows? Did you hear what's his name? The coach. He doesn't even seem like it may be another month before we see Tua.
He is eligible to return next week, I believe, or is it week?
Yeah, but it doesn't seem. No, it's next week, but it doesn't seem like he's coming back next week. Just by the way that Mike.
No, I don't think he's coming back next week, but there is a possibility, and then the week after would probably be more likely, or maybe even later. So who knows? But we need Huntley and Hill to click, and maybe even Waddle start clicking for this team to even look okay. You know what I mean? Sneak into the playoffs maybe for a healthy Tua.
That's fair. All right. First game of the late window is the Panthers and the Commanders. I'll let you have the Commanders. You can chat because
I was just Panthers getting ready to talk about the worst.
Not a good defense.
You've been throwing me all the softballs here.
Give you the good one.
So as he doesn't want to be called Baby Lamar over here, Jaden Daniels looks fine, man, at all times, even against tough defenses. Didn't get the run game as loose, but I think Baltimore is probably one of the teams that's going to be best prepared for a guy like this. But Jaden Daniels you already know he's a plug and play, and everyone who drafted him as the 11th, 12th, 13th quarterback off the board is feeling real good right now. It was good to see Zach Ertz get involved. You already know Terry McLaurin's getting his, and he's getting the touchdowns to go with it, which is actually, we talked about this in the beginning of the year or before the season started. That was one thing that McLaurin didn't ever really get. He was getting 4-6 touchdowns a year. And now he's looking pretty darn good. I will say Eckler only getting 9 carries in a game that Brian Robinson was out, obviously, kind of keeping up with the Ravens. But at the same time, this game wasn't, a 3-score game or anything. It was always pretty close. I think 10 was probably the highest lead that was ever there. So weird to see Eckler not get the full workload. It was good to see that Jeremy McNichols also didn't steal all the workload. So Eckler, once again, super consistent player, whether or not there's other running backs playing or not, you're going to get 10 points out of Eckler and hopefully one day maybe more. So Eckler stays in your lineup, and then Terry McLaurin, and then Zach Ertz is a fill-in tight end at any given moment, and Jaden Daniels. And if Brian Robinson comes back, of course, go ahead and fire him up as well.
Fair enough. I don't disagree. On the Panther side of the ball, Deontay Johnson's on the injury report, but I would assume he's probably going to be good to go. Jonathan Brooks is practicing. Yep. I would say even if he comes back like this week or next week, they're probably going to have him on a snap count just to get him up to speed. They do have a bye in week 11, so I think after the bye, he's probably going to be fired up with whatever, like 20, 25 carries, whatever their plan is for him. But I think up until that, probably going to be limited a lot. Chuba didn't practice today, but I mean, I think that was just a rest day. So I still think it's the Chuba show, and you're good to go with Chuba Hubbard, Deontay Johnson. I do think Andy Dalton's a play this week. The Commanders' defense has been not amazing. They've been okay, but not good enough. And that's probably it. I mean, I know Jatavian Sanders did some things last week, and Joe's really hyped about him. But then again, he's a rookie, so what? Joe not going to be excited. It's a rookie. Xavier Legette did catch a touchdown too. I've liked some of the things I've seen from him, but it's hard to trust him week in, week out.
I also like, and this is just deep leagues. Please don't start these people, but I like Legette and I like Coker. Both of those guys have like promise for the future. I like the tentative pickup in a dynasty league just to, you never know what can happen.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you might get picking up Legette. He's already rostered.
Yeah, he's probably rostered. Not starting though. Washington wins.
Yeah, 100%. Team's rolling. But I will say that I think this game gets a little closer than you think. Carolina can have their moments, and Washington's defense isn't super stout. Like, they have their moments where they make big plays, but it's not like the best defense in the league by any means.
Good for a scare. All right. And I don't know if we see Bryce Young ever again, man.
I'm not going to lie. Andy Dalton having a pretty rough game last week. I think it might happen.
They're throwing back out there. Maybe after the bye, they're just like, and maybe by then they're like 2.
Well, it's one. They're 1-5 right now. So like, they made the switch and they have one win to show for it. Did they even make the switch at that point? Like, no, Andy Dalton got that win. That's right, because he didn't start that game. Never mind. Okay.
No, I mean he got the win though.
No, but he started that game too. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you got 2 blowouts from the Saints and the Chargers. And they beat the Raiders, and then they lose the Bengals, Bears, Falcons, which don't get me wrong, all 3 decent offenses. But I mean,
Panthers next 3 games, like before the bye in Week 11, they have Broncos, Saints, Giants, and Germany.
Oh, that's such a gross game.
Yeah. I don't think they win any of those. All right, on to the next game in this window. That would be the Raiders and the Rams, 2 LA teams. Or, well, no, one's Las Vegas, not LA.
West Coast somewhere. Some sort of
Raiders Rams is looking disgusting. However, you know what? I'll let you talk about the Rams. We'll, throw you another good one. Well, maybe kind of good one, I guess.
Do we have a comeback from anyone? Is Kupp coming back? Do we have any
Kupp practice? So it does look like Cooper Kupp's coming back.
I'm pretty sure we're still a week out at least for the other stud wide receiver. This team's gross. I will say the one shining moment of this team is Kyren Williams is actually the real deal. Like, there's no doubt about it in anyone's mind at this point that Kyren Williams last year was not a fluke, and it's shown whenever there's no one else to do anything. There are rumors swirling, and this might just be Twitter, but Stafford being traded seems weird, but I guess it's possible. The Rams don't really have a rebuild going, though, so it's not like there's any necessary reason to do that. You're going to get maybe a 4th or 5th round pick for him. I don't know. I guess it depends on the market. There are teams that could use a quarterback, but at the moment, you got people coming back potentially. So if Kupp doesn't play, I think Whittington is on your roster. I think you can flex him in at any given moment. After that, it's dead. I don't care about Tutu Atwell. I'm not going to take that. Kobe Parkinson, I will say, of course, tight end wise, definitely is relevant and can be played. And it's Kyren Williams and Whittington, or Kyren Williams and Kupp. Those are your 2 options. Once the studs get back here, then you can start maybe thinking about playing Stafford. But until then, no, thank you.
Yeah, makes sense. On to the Raiders. We had no Devontae last week and no Jacoby Myers, so we were going to hope and pray and see who.
Speaking of, can we just go ahead and pause? Devontae's hamstring injury magically reappeared to not be a problem. I know we'll get to the Jets soon, but interesting.
No, he was clearly faking that injury. And actually, I don't think we're getting to the Jets, by the way, because we are.
What's it? Why?
No, we're good. We're good.
So he's going to play.
Next game. Anyway, so we were wondering who the Raiders were going to try it out there and make noise. There's no other wide receivers on this football team that are worth a damn, unfortunately. Steelers it didn't even appear close at any point in time. So if Jacoby Myers is back, he's still questionable. If he's back, I think he's good to go. And then Alexander Madison, if you need a running back, but like, and
it actually is work. It is working. Like, I hate it, but it is working. I mean, it's mostly because of touchdowns and pass game, but it is. You could play.
Well, let's just say they're going to have another running back on this team in April, and whoever that is probably in a really good shape to be an RB1. But as far as where we are now,
Madison's like a Chuba Hubbard in this year. It's like nobody wants him and nobody wants to play him, but like it works for some reason.
Yeah. So Bowers, Jacoby Myers if he's back, and Alexander Madison. That's it. Again, sorry to Joe who came on this podcast last week and said Trey Tucker was going to go off. He was an awesome possum, all this and that. And he had 0 catches on 2 targets. Sorry, Joe. We thought it was going to be Trey Tucker day, and unfortunately it's not. But what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, this team's just a lost cause at this point, unfortunately, for any Raiders fans out there. I'm sorry. I was hoping for Minshew to do something, but it didn't look good. Didn't look great.
It's what's tough about the Raiders is there's really nobody, like there's nothing that you're building around other than Brock Bowers on this football team. Like they're going to need a wide receiver in this offseason. They're going to need a running back. They're going to need a quarterback. Like the defense needs help, even though I've heard rumors that Max Crosby's on the table to be traded too, which is just like,
I mean, they are definitely trade candidates, like sadly, but don't trade Crosby, man. He's just such a good guy.
Yeah, it's tough, but unless he goes to a nice home. Anyway, I think the Rams win this game.
I'm gonna go ahead and pick them for some reason too.
Okay. All right, on to America's Game of the Week. Chiefs 49ers, Super Bowl rematch, which is always fun, even though I don't think the 49ers are holding up their end of the bargain to make this as interesting, but they are favored to win the game, Josh. So I think that says something about at least Vegas.
Yeah, but like number one, the Chiefs are going to win because the refs make sure that they do. But it's so weird. Like the Chiefs, like offense looks so bad, and it's not like the defense looks good, but then they end up winning the game at the last second by a penalty. Usually, it's just kind of embarrassing for the NFL at this point.
Happens a lot. Well, I'll talk about the Chiefs because I know it would gross you out if you had to. But Patrick Mahomes actually looked like Patrick Mahomes of old last time we saw him. 300 yards, which was crazy, but no touchdowns. So there you go. That's that. Rushing wise, Kareem Hunt resurrected from the dead. Juju Smith-Schuster resurrected from the dead. Like, I don't know how is this possible? I don't know, but here we are. Kareem Hunt, 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. Haven't seen that in like 4
I'm actually starting
years.
Kareem Hunt this year, which is weird.
Yeah, who would have thought in 2024? But here we are. And then receiving wise, Travis Kelce looked good. Juju Smith-Schuster, I think you have to start him. And then Xavier Worthy, you're going to have to start him, but he's pretty boom or bust at this point. Like last week, the last 2 weeks ago, he had like a rushing touchdown, but only had a couple of receiving yards. Like, I don't know. But I think he's a good enough start, at least in the flex spot. I think you're good to go there.
All right. Now comes time for the X-Files theme song and the conspiracy theories about Jordan Mason and his injury. Apparently he was one of the most highly bet on person to go over 83 yards or whatever number it was. And he had about 65 yards in the first quarter, I'm pretty sure. And then he got mysteriously injured, even though he didn't look injured. And then all of a sudden was out and then came back in to play one play to start the second half and never touched the ball again. I don't know if he's going to play or not. I mean, I imagine they said the shoulder injury is minor. They put him back in after it, and he ran for 8 yards. So you have to imagine Mason's going to play, and if you have him, you are playing him and hoping that people don't bet on him too highly and have the sports books call the NFL to bench. All right, I'm done. Brock Purdy can also start. You already know the man throws for touchdowns. Debo, finally. And Debo is the number one player to start when a running back gets injured or is not in. So that's just one of those things. So week 1 had a great game. This week has a great game with Mason out. Garendo, everyone who rushed to go get him, amazing play if Mason's out. If not, you can just go ahead and drop him back to the waiver wire, especially with CMC potentially returning in a couple weeks. We're not sure. Nobody really knows. There's like no news on this either. And yeah, man, Ayuk just continues to be a complete bust after his holdout. I thought maybe he was just rust, but it's just I don't know if Purdy just doesn't.
He had a good week 2 weeks ago, but
yeah, and there was definitely a good week, but it's weird to see him have 1 week over 10 points. Like it's just no higher than 48 yards on any other than 1 week. It shouldn't have been this bad at this point, and I don't think it's just
hard to watch.
It's not just rust at this point, and it's not even drop.
Yeah,
it just doesn't look. It doesn't look there. Weird that they signed him after knowing that this might be the case. But anyway, Kittle, good to go. Debo, good to go. Ayuk, man, roll the dice if you want. I'm out. And then Jordan Mason plays, if not Garendo, and then of course Brady.
Yep, I'm getting off of the brain.
And Juwan Jennings is dead. Sorry as well. Sorry to say.
That's been the most unfortunate part is that the Juwan Jennings story.
Well, it almost looked like, oh man, we have 3 guys now. Holy crap! After 175 yards, and then had a pretty good game that game after, and then everybody came back, and he's just not.
Yeah. Well, plus Ricky Parasol is coming back soon, so that's going to add another wrench into the factor. As far as I think it's still 2 or 3 weeks away.
Pretty much be dropped in redraft if you haven't already. Even in Dynasty, you can probably start thinking about it.
Yeah, but the people that traded him after that big game, y'all are heroes.
Good for y'all. That's a great
for real. Got a big bag after that. I do think the 49ers are going to win this game. The Chiefs just can't keep getting away with this. Eventually, they're going to lose.
Yeah, I think they lose this game. I think the 49ers have lost some games that they should have won as well. Not really due to them. Just, sometimes the games don't flop in your favor. And also with the Super Bowl rematch, you have to imagine that the 49ers get revenge here and come in strong and pissed off.
For sure. All right, on to the Sunday Night Football game, which I'm please, why in the world did we not flex this out? They could have put the Lions, Vikings, or Texans, Packers, something else. We could have flexed this puppy out. But the Jets versus the Steelers. I'll let you talk about the Jets because I have a whole Steelers thing.
I'm not going to lie to you. I actually like both of these teams. I think this is going to be a good game. I don't think it's the traditional, we could have had a better game. Also, I just want to say while we're talking about flexing games, the Eagles got flexed to watch that the Bears and Jaden Daniels go off. I think it's week 11. The Bears and Washington are matched up, and they get to the 2 rookies to square up. And, it's fine, but it's just kind of rude. Just want to talk about that for a second. Jets are now getting Aaron Rodgers' favorite toy. Yes, they lost this game by a kicker, but this should add a spark to this team and honestly potentially push them to the playoffs. The team's not looking bad. Rodgers is looking a lot better than he started off. Honestly, this game he looked great in. They just couldn't finish a drive, unfortunately. Breece Hall came back from the dead, it seemed like. When everybody was rushing to, get rid of Breece, if you got him, 113 yards rushing and 50 in the pass game. It is Breece Hall's game. He is the lead running back. So don't get that twisted. Braylon Allen will still have value, but I don't think he's a start candidate at any right away given moment. The saddest part about this Devontae Adams trade is not Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's share won't go down. Garrett Wilson and Rodgers have a great connection. It's Allen Lazard who is going to be taken out completely. Sure, he might get a touchdown now and then, but you're not getting 7 targets probably ever again from Lazard until maybe you might have one more good week of Lazard if you want. I wouldn't. Please don't do it. I think Lazard at this point is under the water unless one of these 2 go down. So Conklin also, it's not looking great for him.
I think Conklin's the one I'm for sure out on. I'll go Allen Lazard 1 week.
I'm saying, I think this week, if you're getting anything, yes. But next week, once Adams is fully attuned and gets to play full snaps, Lazard's going to be cutting some time.
Lazard's most of his yards last week were on a Hail Mary. That's just like a miracle that happened.
Still 5 for 60 though. Before that, that's fantasy relevant.
Yeah. But yeah, like you're saying, it's probably gone now with Devontae back.
And you're looking at 2 for 30 and a touchdown if you're lucky.
Okay, well, on to the Steelers, who are making a quarterback change inexplicably.
For no reason.
They have not officially announced it yet, but all of the beat reporters have been saying it's looking like Russell Wilson's taking the number 1 snaps in practice this week. I will say Justin Fields has not looked great, but I think he's done enough to where like you just keep him in there. At least he has the scramble factor that is something else that a team needs to plan for. Russell doesn't have that. Like he does not have that ability. So I don't know why they're doing this other than I guess to maybe get these wide receivers going. So
also, he's lost 2 balls since he's played. And it's not like you're getting Russell from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 2020 Russell, where, he's QB6 off the board, throwing for 4,000 yards. You're getting 3 years of bum Russell, and you're going to sit the young Justin Fields who has, like, quick legs, who's thrown 1 interception. Like
2 touchdowns on the ground last week from Justin Fields. Like, that's something you can't factor for.
I don't understand the play here, but here we are.
And it wasn't Fields' fault that they lost the Cowboys game either. The defense folded like a lawn chair. Like that was not his fault.
Yeah, I'm not in love with this pick, but anyway.
Me either, but I guess here we go. So I'm not starting Russell Wilson this week. Again, probably going to have to give me a week for me to calibrate and see where he is. The Jets defense, they're not great as they've been in the past, but they're still really good, and I still think they can get after it. And Russell's, not exactly a threat to run.
Good thing he's been wearing those shoulder pads and preparing for this.
Yeah, no kidding. So Najee's good to go. It seems like Jalen Warren being back actually like lit a fire under his ass, which was nice to see.
He's got a touchdown
game. He got a 100-yard game, and Warren got 6 balls and only got 7 yards. I think George Pickens might actually be good this week to actually start and trust. I think the same for Freiermuth. Other than that, I don't know. Like we're gonna have to see who Russell's vibing with, who Mr. Unlimited is vibing with, because I, again, don't really trust this team at all. Like not yet, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pickens. If you're gonna start anyone, Pickens or Muth, but I'd prefer not to if I didn't have to, and I don't think you should have to at this point because you haven't been starting them all year, basically. So
that's true. And this just gives me a good time to play this.
Hey, you want to split this Subway sandwich? It is my signature sandwich. It's called the Danger Witch, and it's dangerously good. Be careful, though. It's spicy.
He's back. It's exciting to see. It's spicy. He's going to have a spicy week this week against the Jets, apparently. Aaron Rodgers cannot lose to that, by the way.
Joe just dropped Lazard, so he must still be listening.
Just dropped Lazard. Of course he did. All right. Well, anyway, I think the Steelers are going to win this game, even though I think if Rodgers – I don't know what happens if Rodgers loses this game against the Steelers and they go 2-5, but it can't be good. Like, don't think it's going to be great what happens.
I think if Fields starts, the Steelers win. I think if Russell starts, they lose.
Yeah, you're probably right there. By the way, just for everybody keeping track out there, the Jets through 6 weeks last year had the exact same amount of points, and we're 3-3, not 2-4 with Zach Wilson. So, did you get an upgrade by getting Rodgers back in there?
Let's calm down. These are numbers that don't actually correlate to the data.
Just saying, the offense was exactly where it is right now, and the record was better when.
And arguably have a better run game this year too. So, no, I would say that Rodgers needed some time to get off that Achilles. Same with Kirk Cousins. I mean, it took him 5
Kirk
weeks.
throwing for 500 yards. Like, go out there and have a week, my boy.
Dude, and not to mention breaking Matt Ryan's record at Matt Ryan's retirement celebration.
Yeah, that was crazy. But again, I don't think we're gonna see that again this season. But it was fun to see.
Let's talk about the 2 Monday night football games.
We have 2 Monday night football games. One of them is going to be watched by nearly no one, and the other one is the Ravens versus the Buccaneers, which I actually think I love this game. Like this is the exact kind of game I want to watch in prime time. Both of these teams, I think, are legit contenders to make the playoffs and make some noise. So, kind of excited for this one. Do you want to talk Ravens? Because I would love to talk.
I know you want to talk Bucks. I want to just go ahead and say that I'm picking the Ravens clearly. But I just want to go ahead and say that the Buccaneers are going to have a bad time in this game. Just wanted to put that out there.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that more. Lamar Jackson. All right. What more do you need? You're playing him. Derrick Henry, RB1 on the year. You're playing him. Zay Flowers, really the only one who's catching consistent balls. You're playing him. and Mr. Mark Andrews himself. Mr. Billy dropped him and gave him to me for free. Thank you very much. Mark Andrews is not back, but he is.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you going to start him? Like, no.
He's my backup tight end for sure.
Okay,
but
I was like,
he's my Trey McBride backup. I think I need him for 1 week. Like that's a long time from now.
That's why I have Isaiah Likely. Same thing. Just need him.
Just want to say, Mark Andrews is the tight end one on this team. It's just for some reason they're not using either one of them. Like this, for some reason, both of them being out there, just neither one of them are getting targets. It'd be different if like one of them got 6 catches a game, one of them got 2, and they just swapped off, which is what I would have expected. It's not even that. It's 5 catches a game for the 2 of them split. So it's like 2-3, 3-1, 4-1. Like it's just ugly. Do not start Mark Andrews. I'm just saying it was nice to see him get a touchdown. Like they literally keep talking about it in the broadcast. I'm like, there he is. It's Mark Andrews. But yes, you do not want to start him at this moment. I feel like if you need him, though, you never know. Maybe this is the come up.
Same thing if you have Isaiah Likely. Literally think it's the same exact situation for both guys.
But Likely hasn't done anything.
He just had 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago. What are you talking about?
But what have you done lately?
He didn't catch 1 touchdown last week. Like, that's it. This team is a joke on offense. Like you can't trust anybody except for Zay
Flowers. Makes no sense. I guess Derrick Henry really did steal just all the thunder of this team.
Yeah.
But somehow Lamar's still throwing for almost 300 yards. So it's really weird.
Yeah, he's just throwing to guys that you're like, okay, thank you. That helps no one. Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar. Looking at you guys
playing in the league is just hilarious, and Jalen Reagor's laughing on the sideline, being like, "Oh, I should have been Justin Jefferson."
For sure. All right, on to the Buccaneers, who I love and adore so much. I, unlike Josh, think this is actually going to be a competitive game, and I think the Buccaneers are going to be just fine. I don't know if they're going to win or not, but I do think it's going to be a competitive football game. They're back in Tampa after the hurricane, so I think that's going to add some juice. Mike Evans is 1 touchdown away from 100 for his career, and he's 6 yards away for having 12,000 in his career. Both of those milestones are going to be met in this game. I'm going to bet my house on Mike Evans to score 1 touchdown in this game. He was not even looked at in the red zone last week, and they had scored 51 points. So that has to be what was happening in that game. So I'm going to go with Chris Godwin. I'm just loving it this year. Baker and him are on a really good connection. Mike Evans, he's going to score touchdowns. So he's obviously good to go. The running back split is – I know I texted Josh today, and he said it's all smoke and mirrors, but apparently when Rashad White comes back, it might not be this week, but if he comes back, supposedly it's going to be a 3-headed monster, and that they're going to have a split workload throughout. I don't think that's going to mean the pass game, but – I do think that there is going to be a split of some sort when this team actually takes the field. I know you're itching to say something here, so please go ahead.
Oh, I was just waiting for you to finish. Sorry. All right. So anyway, as I told him, smoke and mirrors, if and when all 3 of these guys start, Sean Tucker will rush for 3 carries for basically nothing. Rashad White will have entirely too many carries while doing almost nothing. And then Bucky Irving will continue to get the lion's share. I think Bucky Irving has proved that he is going to be the running back 1 on this team in the future. I do not know when it is, but if there is ever a moment where all 3 of them are playing, you are not playing Sean Tucker. I will say Joe Wiggins did tell you that Sean Tucker was going to be there in February. I don't know. I just wanted Joe to be here. It felt like he was here in spirit. He said that a long time ago, but I don't think he's watching anymore. He doesn't care about us. But no, Bucky is proving over and over again while rushing for 5 yards per carry in every game that he's played in pretty much. He is the guy of the future. And if you're going to start one, it's going to be him. Rashad White, I don't know how you could even think like, oh, I'm going to start him when he comes back at this moment. So I would just leave him on the bench when he does come back, at least 1 game, just see what happens. If I'm wrong, sure. But if any of this smoke is even relatively true, I think you'll thank me for that. So,
okay. Well, now that we've got the Bucky Irving contingent out, I do think we'll see. I do think Sean Tucker had a lot in, the game was a blowout last weekend. So it's kind of hard to take anything of what happened with that Saints game into consideration for the weeks going forward. But yeah, I think this is going to be a great game. you know what? I'm picking the Buccaneers to win. Who cares? I don't think anybody's holding us accountable for this.
Second fireball bet, and I'll hold you accountable.
Okay, fine. We'll take a fireball bet. Okay.
Buccaneers
emotional win at home after the hurricane. All right, on YouTube, Cam the Ham says, should I trade Jordan Mason and I'm assuming Amari Cooper for Kyron? Have CMC on IR. I would do that, 100%. Can you imagine having Kyron and CMC when he comes back? Like,
I think you do it just to get rid of the Mason flip, and even if CMC doesn't come back, I think you still get the better end of the deal there. So I think I'm 100% smash that. Accept.
100% Cam. Please go ahead and do that.
Mason's had a couple bum weeks. I know one of them was injured, but.
And River says Levante David blow up game, possibly. I mean, gonna be a lot of runs.
It's possible. I mean, he's already doing good enough, so you're already starting him. I mean, and then not to mention he gets all the little extras instead of just tackles, so that's super helpful. And against Baltimore, man, there's gonna be a lot. I mean, he's gonna be able to tackle King Henry is the only issue. I mean, they're both about the same age, 50 or something.
For sure. Rue also asked, sit Tyke Smith.
Is it a question?
That's what he said. I don't know. Not helpful, but
I don't know about sit, but like, I don't know. I wouldn't have been starting him in the first place, in my opinion.
That's fair enough.
All right, let's get to the fun one.
All right, last game of the slate. It is exclusive to ESPN Plus, so most people won't even be able to watch the game. But this is a money grab to get people to watch football. But the problem is, if you do something like this and you put it against another counter programming game that's better, like nobody's going to be subscribing just to watch this. Like, I already have one, so I'll be watching it because of that. But like, whatever.
Anyway, subscribe to our channel. Time out. Subscribe to our channel to be even able to hear the preview of this game.
Oh yeah, good point. We're putting the rest of this behind a paywall. No, just kidding. All right, so on to the Chargers versus the Cardinals. I'll talk about the Cardinals because I don't know if Marvin Harrison is just jealous of Neighbors, but he went and got a concussion last week as well, just so he can match Neighbors. Which I guess you got to keep up with keeping up with your neighbors or something? Like he's doing that with his touchdown. Yeah, it wasn't great, but we got to do it. All right. Kyler Murray is going to be in for a bad week this week. The Chargers' defense is really good, and Kyler has been such a wild card that I don't think this is the week that he's going to be popping off. If you have another option, this would probably be a week I would suggest doing that. Trey Benson didn't look great coming in for James Conner last week, but again, it was kind of a weird week with Green Bay. I do think Trey Benson's the guy going forward, but this wasn't exactly the best game to show that. So Trey McBride's probably my only for sure start if Marvin Harrison doesn't make it back in time. But I do think Michael Wilson, there's good possibilities that come from Michael Wilson.
I like the idea of Michael Wilson. Every time I want to start Michael Wilson, it doesn't work out. But he has been consistent.
And it might not this week. I don't know. Yeah, so we'll see. But that's where we're at. By the way, just so everyone knows out there, the wide receiver 2 on this team, if Marvin Harrison is out, is Xavier Weaver. So if you're in Dynasty, it might be worth a stash. Greg Dortch is still the slot guy, so he's not going to move him out, all 5'7" of him. So Xavier Weaver is the guy that you're going to pick up, and if Marvin Harrison misses any time. Just putting that out there for everyone. I don't know if everyone else picked up on that, him being the wide receiver 2.
I did not. So thank you for the heads up. On the other side of the ball, I know everyone is super excited, especially the weird homers on the Twitter sphere, X, whatever you guys want to call it. I'm still old, apparently, and just going to call it Twitter. But it's not Kamani Vidal's time yet. It will be, though. And I've seen people the stash of the season, this is going to be the smash and play. Yes, his first play happened to be an amazing touchdown. Love to see some more of it. Love to see more than 5-6 touches. It's not for me at the moment. I do love the stash in a Dynasty. It was probably already gone because everyone was already on him in the offseason. I just wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way. J.K. Dobbins had 25 carries. So you're not, until J.K. Dobbins goes down, it's not a relevant thing. I do think that he works into the workload a little bit, just seeing that. And it was cool to see, just because we always like to see young rookie running backs do good, but just want to get that out of the way. Herbert, on the other hand, surprisingly not as bad as he should be. So weirdly, just like coming back from this injury, and he's been just injured all year. I don't even know what to say about him, but actually had a pretty good game last week. 230 yards and 1 touchdown. But the problem is remember when we said who's going to be the guy, the wide receiver for this team? We don't know yet. It's still not a thing. Like, it was QJ for a couple weeks. Everyone picked him up.
Probably McConkey.
Bucks. It looks like it's going to be McConkey, I have to say as well. It's very consistent and moving, trending towards the upward, averaging like 7 yards a game, 6 yards or 6 targets a game. My apologies. I'd like to see some, like, just 2 more targets a game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, give me double-digit targets, and then I'm starting Glad McConkey. Good news is it's a pretty high floor, so you got that going for you. I don't feel comfortable starting anyone other than Dobbins, though, if I'm being completely honest at this point.
I'm right there with you. I have both. I've dropped Quentin Johnston, but I have McConkey, and I can't, like, unless there's a bye week fill-in, like, I just don't.
Now it's got to be like a really rough situation for me to be like, hey, I'm starting McConkey this week.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Chargers are going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I would love to say that the Cardinals are going to win, but honestly, this is exactly what I thought the Cardinals would be, minus Marvin Harrison being worse for some reason.
It's hard to really pinpoint why the Cardinals are bad, because, like, there's some weeks where I'm like, well, it's obviously Kyler, like, he's just not as accurate as he needs to be. Then there's other weeks where I'm like, well, Kyler's pretty good in that game. Like, I don't think they should have lost because of Kyler. Like, I don't think it was Kyler's fault they lost that game. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's hard to, like I said, hard to pinpoint exactly why they aren't better, you know?
Well, let's just run through the schedule. Bills could have won that game. It felt like they were going to. That was week 1. Week 2, beat the Rams handily, if I might add. Lions, 20-13. It was a good game. Commanders got their ass kicked. 49ers beat them. Like, super cool. Packers got their ass kicked. I don't know what it is. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm sure Harrison was down in that game, so didn't have their number 1 guy. But honestly, all the people, I hate to say this, but like, Harrison just isn't gonna jump in right away and be the number 1. Like, usually it doesn't happen like that. Like, not.
Well, what is confusing is why is he not getting what Neighbors is getting, where he's getting peppered with targets every game that he's in?
I don't know, but the thing is it's not happening, and this was always an option. I feel like we've been so blessed to have the number 1 wide receiver off the board each year go and be the Jamar Chase and, have these giant moments. Jefferson was one of those guys where, like, he snuck in as the 6th wide receiver off the board or something. Like, it's not always just, oh, you're the number 1, you're the best talented receiver, so you're going to automatically be the best. But, like, it doesn't work that way sometimes. Like, sure, Harrison, please don't get rid of him in Dynasty. But in redraft at the moment, I think he's tradable. I think you're trading off stock name at this point. And it's sad, but, like, I don't think Harrison's winning you a league this year.
Yeah, so the first 3 weeks, he was the most targeted wide receiver on the team. But then the last 3 weeks, obviously got hurt last week, but the 2 weeks before that, he was not the most targeted wide receiver on the team either week. And I don't know, maybe that's just where we're at now. And I don't think that should be it. I think he should be getting 12 targets a game. And
well, like McBride, like, has consistency. Every time he's playing, he's getting 6+ targets a game, right? Like, Harrison had 3 week 1, had 8, 11, 6, 7, and then injury. So it's like, why isn't there a man? You know what? We're down by 2 scores. I'm going to throw Marvin Harrison the ball, see if I can get something. So this has nothing to do with Marvin Harrison being a bad wide receiver. We know he's good. It's just, I don't.
Better days ahead. But if somebody's panicking, by all means, take advantage of it. All right, before we hop off here, we got Cam the Ham with the last question. Start Jordan Mason, Amari Cooper, or Devontae Adams in the flex PPR. I'd probably go Devontae Adams. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to try to make a point.
Yeah, 100%. He's been trying to get him for 2 years now. I say Adams. I would actually choose Mason if fully healthy, but Adams is definitely my number 2.
Either one of those, I don't think you can go wrong. I think Cooper. I think it's going to be
either Cooper doesn't play or he's just running straight down the field the entire time. I don't think he's had a full chance to get in with the workload. However, with the Jets, I don't think it's going to matter. I think Rodgers is just going to
throw the ball to Devontae every chance he gets. And I mean,
they'll probably have Devontae running the slant route the whole time.
Probably.
They're not going to learn a playbook in that time. It's going to be like you're doing the exact same thing every time, pretty much.
I can understand Jordan Mason, though. He's been great this season. Okay, well, that wraps up the rest of this week. I mean, hopefully you and Joe will both be on next week's episode.
I think I'm going to take off, or maybe he said he was. I'll have to check our joint calendar.
I was about to say, make sure that you all sync up your schedules, but maybe both back for week 8. That would be exciting. Thank you all for joining us out there. Follow us on socials at Josh Hall STL 1H and me at Ombre Vendor, and follow Joe too at OP Joe with 2 E's. Josh, get us out of here.
Glad to be back, guys, and looking forward to another week of football, man. Weird to say that we're almost halfway through the year, but best of luck out there.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.